Right, so now we're going to start looking at missing data values, okay? We're going to have a bunch of data, we're going to have one or two data values missing, but we're given a box plot. We're going to kind of use that box plot to kind of figure out what our missing data value is. Let me show you what I mean by that. So here I have a list of data. I have one of my data points is missing, it's just X, but I do have a box plot, and I should be able to hopefully figure out at least an idea of what this X value should be, just by kind of reverse engineering a box plot and what data I do have. It's actually not as hard as you think, right? Let's take a look at this. I've got my data 16, 7, 14, 10, something, and 2. And a box plot never tells you what data you have or how much data you have except for a few points, okay? For instance, 2. If 2 is the minimum, that means 2 has to be a value, right? And we can see that right here. So 2 is my minimum. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking these values and putting them in order from least to greatest down here. Just in my boxes, you notice I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of data. One of them is unknown. And so I just have 6 boxes here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all blank. And I'm going to start taking that data and putting it down here. So I know I have minimum is 2. The 2 has to go here because that's my minimum according to my box plot. But also, it says that my maximum is 16, right? That's said right here, is 16. And so I go ahead and I'm going to put 16 up here because I know it has to be my maximum. And if I'm going from least to greatest, that should be my biggest number. But if you take a look at this, let me scroll down just a little bit. If I were to go find my median now, my median would not right here, would not be right here, not right here, not right here, not right here. My median would actually have to be right in between, right? And so my median is actually probably not a part of my data. But what is my median according to my box plot? My median is 12, right? But you notice the median's not in a box here, right? It doesn't go in as part of my data because the median is between two numbers. So I'm just going to put 12 there, and maybe that's going to help me kind of guess what my other values are going to be. Use the magic pen. All right, so let's see here. What other numbers can I put? Let's go ahead and take a look at this now. What if I started looking at my first and third quartiles? Well, if I looked at my data down here, this is going to be my Q1, right? That's Q1. And that's actually going to be a part of my data because it's not in between. It is a data value. And up here, if I look at this data value, right in the middle would be Q3. That means it's part of my data value, but a box plot tells me that. The box plot says that right here is Q1. Q1 is 7. And so because Q1 is a box, I'm going to put a 7 right here. And is that part of my data? It is, right? So now I've fit a few parts of my data in here. Q3, according to my box plot, is at 15. And let's put a 15 right here. Do I have a 15 up in my data? I don't. There is no data, so what must 15 be? 15 must be my missing value, right? But let's go ahead and finish out my data just to make sure, because 15 has to go here. Let's continue filling out my data. Oh, what are the other 2 data points that I could put here? I've got 10 and 14. Well, if I were to put 10 in here, and then 14 from least to greatest, where's the only place I could put 10? I couldn't put 10 here because now I don't have a place to put 14 right here. 14 can't go right here because that wouldn't be from least to greatest. So I have to put 10 here. And the only number I have left now is 14. And I have to check something else. What's the median between 10 and 14? Is it 12? Well, 10 plus 14 is 24 divided by 2 is 12, right? 24 divided by 2 is 12. So that works out. And so we have now that my missing data value was 15. Okay? So it just takes a little bit of playing. Think of it as just like a puzzle. You're just trying to fit all these pieces together from least to greatest, and you're taking what you do know and kind of fitting that puzzle together.
All right, so let's try another. And again, I know we're not doing a lot of data points. Most time when we do box plots, we have a lot more, but we're just trying to get you to get a better understanding about how these work. That's why they want you to do this. So the way I usually do it is I look at how many points they give me. 1, 2, I don't know what this is, but it's still one of my points. 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to need 6 boxes to arrange them in order. Notice also that it says X sub 1, X sub 2. This is just a way to identify and make sure we don't call them both X's. So this is the first X, this is the second X. So again, just like Mr. Nelson did, while I don't have all my data, I can do some things. For instance, I can tell you that my minimum has to be down here, and my maximum has to be here, right? I can tell you where the middle is, right? I can go 1, 1, 1, 1. Oh, I can see that my median has to be between these two pieces of data, right? So I'm going to get these two pieces of data, and when I add them together and divide by 2, I can get that. And so I can get my median there. So this will be my median between them. And then that means I'm looking at this bottom set of data to find my lower quartile and this upper set of data for my upper quartile. And remember, when we look at we're looking for that upper quartile or that lower quartile, the minimum and the maximum are part of that quartile. We count it. So I go, okay, 1, 1, oh, this must be my Q1. And I go 1, 1, this must be my Q2. So now I've kind of identified everything. And now I can go up to my graph and say, okay, let's see if we can fill in what we have.
Q3 up there.
Oh, Q3, look at what I did there. Thank you for the catch. My minimum is 2. Do I have a 2? I do have a 2, so I'm going to put 2 right here. Q1, which is my lower quartile, is 5. Do I have a 5? I have a 5 right here, so I'm going to put a 5 here. Now, I know that these have to be added together to give you the median, so I'm going to jump and see, do I have a maximum? My maximum is 18. Do I have an 18? I do not have an 18. So I know one of my variables has to be 18. And you can pick x1 or x2, it doesn't matter, but because we're going from least to greatest, I'll probably put the x2 here. I believe my x2 should go here, and that x2 is going to equal 18, right? And now I can go and say, okay, my upper quartile looks like it needs to be 13. Okay, so if I put a 13 here, do I have a 13? I do, so I can put a 13 here. And now I'm down to 2 numbers. I have an 11 that I haven't used, and I have an x1 I haven't used. And so the last thing I need to do is say, okay, well, I know I need to find that middle here, and I guess that's my median. And my median says on the graph that it should be 10. So I go, okay, 10 has to be my median. Well, I have to deal with an 11 and an x1. Well, here's the thing. Can I put an 11 on this side? And the answer is no, because 11 is actually greater than 10. And if 10 is the middle, I can't have a number bigger than 10 in the middle. So I know I have to have this 11. That means I have to put the 11 on this side because it's greater than 10. And now I have the x1, I haven't used that, and I have to say, okay, well, what number does x sub 1 have to be in order to make 10? So I say, I don't know, 11 plus what divided by 2 will give me 10. And if you do the math on that, right, you can go x plus 11 divided by 2 equals 10. And you can solve like an algebraic problem. Oh, times 2 times 2, x plus 11 equals 20. And then I go, oh, you get x alone minus 11 minus 11. Some of you guys can do this in your head. It says x equals 9. So my x1 needs to equal 9. So what I need to know here is x1 equals 9. X sub 2 equals 18. And so those are the 2 missing solutions that I need to find. Those are the missing variables. So Mr. Nelson and I both do the kind of the same thing, but we kind of have different ways. You use whatever you like best. All right, Mr. Nelson. And you notice, by the way, it's getting a little bit bigger each time. There we go.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So much bigger. Leave the hard one for me.
You're welcome.
That's fine. All right, so how many pieces? Notice we didn't give you the boxes this time, but you should pause the video and try this one on your own. All right, so how many pieces of data do we have? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 pieces of data. I don't know 2 of them, but I still have 11 pieces. And so we're going to make 11 spaces to put this, right? I'm going to have to do boxes. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 pieces of data that I need to fill out, right? So those are my 11 blank spaces. And I like what Mr. Craig did first. I like how he labeled all these pieces first, so I'm going to go with that. The minimum definitely goes down here first, and the maximum is going to go up here, as always. And then right in the middle, we have to figure out what that middle is. That's where the median is going to go. So let's find the middle really quick. So we've got 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. And it looks like the median is going to be right smack dab in the middle there, right? So our median is this number right here. So this is our median. That's a horrible square, but we're going to go with it. That's my median. Now let's go find where our Q1 and Q3 are going to go. That's going to have us look down here. I'll leave these here. We're not going to include the median in this part. We're going to exclude that. And so now I have to find Q1, which would be the middle down here, and Q3, which is going to be the middle up here. Let's go ahead and find that down here really quick. 1, 1, 1, 1. That's nice. So this number right here,
That's an easy one.
this is going to be easy. Q1 is actually a part of our data then, and the same thing for up here. You may notice, go 1, 1, 1, 1, and I'm left with this point right here being the middle of the upper half. That's Q3. All right, and so now we can just start filling in what I do know from my box plot here, and then maybe we can figure out what x1 and x2 are as we're going. So let's start plugging some numbers in. Let's see, my minimum is 0, so I'm going to plug 0 here, but you also notice that up in my data, look at that, I got a 0. I'm going to go ahead and cross it out just so I know that I've taken care of it. The next number that I can see from my box plot is Q1, and that's 5 right there, and I have a box here for Q1, that's 5. Do I have a 5 up in my data? I do. I actually have 3 of them, but I'm only accounting for 1 of them right now in my data down here. My median is also part of my data, which is nice. Median is 6. Do I have a 6 up there? I don't. So because I have to put a 6 here, that means that this has got to be, I'm just going to call, doesn't matter what you say, which one's 6. I'm just going to say x1 is 6. Okay, so that's one of them. If you wanted to say that x2 is 6, that's fine as well. It doesn't matter. All right, so let's keep moving. I got the 6 there now. We figured out one of my variables. That's great. Now let's move on to the next one, Q3. Q3 is 10, and so that does have a space for it. So 10, do I have a 10 up in my data? I sure do, so I'm going to cross that off now. And then lastly, my maximum. My maximum is 13. I'm going to put that in its spot. Max 13. Do I have a 13? I do, so I haven't found my other variable yet. But I can start taking this data that I have up here and start putting it where it could belong, right? For instance, 1. Where could I put a 1 in my data? Well, I can't put it to the left of 0. The only place I could put a 1, I could not put a 1 here because that would have to be greater than 5 and 1's not. So there's only one place that I can put a number 1, and that's right there. So we're going to place it there and call it good. What about the number 9? Where can I place a 9? Well, anywhere, a 9 right here would work, right? But the 9 could also work right here. And so this one's going to kind of be a give and take for right now. So let's
skip it for now and come back to it if we want to, or we can pick.
I'm going to leave it there, and if I need to move it, or if you're writing it down on paper, you can't move things like this, but we'll just as an example, you can just save it for later, right? I'm not going to cross it out yet because I haven't figured out a place for it, though. Still looking for x2. Let's try placing an 11. Where can I place an 11? Well, I only see one place, and that'll be right there, right? I can't put 11 down here because it has to be greater than 10, so there we go. What about a 5? So we placed the 11. What about a 5? Well, I see a 5 here. Could I place a 5 here? I think so. That's perfectly fine. And what's great is I have another spot here, and I have another 5 to take care of, so I can put that 5 right here, and it fits perfectly. So that crosses that out. And so now I've placed all the data. I mean, we're not entirely certain about this 9 yet, so I'm going to just leave it here for now and see what happens. Looks like we have one more spot to fill in, and that's probably going to be either that spot or that spot. Let's see if it fits here. Let's see if 9 fits here. Remember, the median is 6, right? It is 6. So what can we put here?
We could put a 9 or a 10 if we put it there.
Yeah, if we put this here, we could put a 9, or we could put a 10.
If we did it on the other side, we could put 6, 7, 8, or 9.
Put that down here. So if I put the 9 here, I could put a 6, I could put a 7 here, I could put an 8, or I could put a 9 here, right? So all these values are actually possible values for our second missing value, right? Our other variable. And so this was kind of fun. It's a puzzle, and it's just I have a lot of pieces I could still fit depending on where you put this 9. Now another question probably is, well, don't this number and this number have to add up, divide by 2 to get this? No, because the median is a part of the data. You only have to do that when the median falls between 2 data points, like Mr. Craig did on the last problem, and you can go rewind back to that and check that out. So yes, x2 could be 6, 7, 8, 9, or even 10. And so this one's kind of up in the air for what you want it to be, but it could be any of those values. Fun.
All you gotta do is on a test, you'd write down, okay, well, x sub 1 I know equals 6, and x sub 2 equals, and you could use set notation. You could equal 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
You don't need to repeat the
and you don't
nines.
repeat anything, and say it could equal either of these, or if you picked one, that would still be okay. If you said I'm choosing x sub 2 equals 8, that's okay. That's still a workable answer. We say, okay, based on the information you have, you can make that choice. All right, one more, I think. Oh, now that's a pain in the butt. All right, how many numbers do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I like to start off by doing 11 dashes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I have 12 dashes going across the board. And so let's talk about labeling stuff. I know that this has to be my minimum. And this has to be my maximum. But I also know that's part of my data. And now I know I gotta find the middle. So I'm gonna find the middle by going 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and I see that my middle is between these two. So I know that I need to make my middle right there. My median is going to be right in the middle of that. So it's going to take these two numbers, add it together, divide by 2, should give me my answer. Now here's the interesting people get confused about. What happens here is because the median is its own number, then this piece of data is considered part of the bottom, not part of the top data, and this piece of data is considered part of the bottom data. We count it as part of that bottom two quartiles. So now I've got to find the middle of that. All right, to find the middle of that lower quartile, I have to go 1, 1, 1, 1. Ah, Craposaurus Rex. Again, my data is going to be in between. It's going to be adding those 2 points together, divide by 2, and that should take care of it. So I'm going to put a line here and know that between these two data, add together, divide by 2 will give me my quartile 1, which means that if I go to the top part, same thing's going to happen. So I'm going to go 1, 1, 1, 1. Oh, crap. Again, if I add these two pieces together, divided by 2, it will give me the middle piece right there. And so I'm going to go, okay, so that means my upper quartile, quartile 3, is going to be right there. So we got a lot of work ahead of us. So let's go ahead and label stuff that we can. I know what my minimum is. My minimum has to be a 2. Do I have a 2 up on the top? There is no 2 up in the top, so I just struck gold right off the bat. Since there is no 2 at the top, I'm going to go ahead and put x1 here, which is going to equal 2. So x1 is 2. Now, I got to go and see what my maximum is. My maximum is 18. Do I have an 18? Oh, I see an 18 right here. So I'll cross that out, and I'll put an 18 here. Whew! All right, now, this is where it gets tricky. I'm going to label what my quartiles here are. My quartile 1 needs to be 5, so this has to equal to 5. My quartile 2, or the median, has to equal to 10. My quartile 3, or the upper quartile, has to equal to 13. So, as I'm inputting my numbers, I have to keep this in mind in my head. I have to go, okay, well, I got to keep this in mind, so I'm going to go, okay, well, do I have any numbers that are greater than 2, greater than or equal to 2, or equal to or less than or equal to 5? Well, let's take a look. I have a 3 and a 4. Those are both less than 5 and greater than 2. So I have a 3 and a 4. That fits in there nicely. I think that's going to work for me. And so now I go, okay, now I need a number that is greater than 5, that when I add it to 4 and divide it by 2 will equal 5. Well, 4 plus what divided by 2 will equal 5? I think a 6 would work. A 6 would work because 4 plus 6 would equal 10 divided by 2 is 5. Do I have a 6? Hey, I have a 6. So I know that this is going to be a 6. I've got that filled out. And now I got to get numbers between 6 and 10. So I look and I have a 7. So maybe I'll put a 7 here. Do I have an 8? I don't have an 8. Do I have a 9? Do I have a 10? I don't. So guess what? I think I may have found my second variable. I'm not 100% sure, but I think x2 needs to go here because this is the only place that it can fit. But let's keep checking and find out. So I'm going to start all the way on the opposite side here and see, is there any numbers bigger than 13 but less than 18? I have two numbers bigger than 13 but less than 18. I have 14 and 16, so I'll put these in here because I have to use these numbers. So that kind of sets me that where I have to use them. But now I can say, okay, do I have a number that when I add to 14 and divide it by 2 that will equal 13? Let's see, 14 plus what will give me, 14 plus 12 will give me 26 divided by 2 is 13. Do I have a 12? Ooh, I do, I have two 12. So I'm going to use that 12 right here. So this is all fitting nicely, it's giving me 13, it's fitting my data. But I still have another 12 here, and another 12 here. I have two more 12s. So guess what? I think I'm trapped. I have to put all my 12s here because I have to use them. They can't be on the other side of 10. So now I'm close to the end. All I got to do is figure out what does x sub 2 have to equal. So I say 12 plus what divided by 2 equals 10. Well, 12 plus 8 is 20 divided by 2 is 10. So x sub 2 has to equal 8. So the way I'd put that in my answer is I'd say x sub 1 equals 2, and x sub 2 equals 8. And those are the solutions. This is as hard as they ever get. I don't think we have a problem that hard for you in even the activity. But go ahead and try some of the problems below, and good luck. I think it's fun.